What is good? What is up, y'all? It's your boy here, Jay, back and better than ever with another episode of Padres Banter. The Padres are stumbling once again, losing the series and rubber match last night against the Cincinnati Reds 2-1. We won't waste too much time. We'll get all right into it right here on Padres Banter. What is up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Padres Banter. The Pods' struggles continue, so let's get right into it. The Pods dropped the series to the Reds in a close rubber match 2-1 last night. First series win in San Diego for the Reds in 6 years, as Pivetta pitched a gem of a game, going 7 innings, pitched 4 hits, no runs, a walk, and 8 Ks on 101 pitches, but the bullpen late, giving up 2 runs, as Cal Hart gave up 1 run that was given up by a hit by Morajón. A runner left on base for Morajón gave up a hit to Elly De La Cruz, and Nando almost threw Friedl out at home. A great throw, showing off his arm talent and almost his platinum glove once again, but it was just a tad too late. Morajón would also give up his run to a bloop hit to Miguel Andujar. Not great luck, but also Morajón hasn't really looked great in recent games, so just hoping that turns around before playoff time. An inning before that, Laser Ramon also had a home run robbery in the top of the 7th, but ultimately the Padres just could not cash in their runners on base, going 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position with 6 left on base. It's just, with our lineup, that is just completely unacceptable. Can't do that. 0 for 8, 0 for 8, you can't get one hit. The one hit the entire game in runners in scoring position, because the Reds apparently were doing this too, was the Elly De La Cruz hit. So nobody was hitting with runners in scoring position. But back to the Padres, that is just unacceptable. With our lineup, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know what other way to put it, but at least Nando got his 21st home run of the season, but wasn't enough, as 2 runs was all that was needed for the Reds to not only win the series, but come within 2 games of the Mets, who lost last night versus the Phillies. The Phillies just absolutely blew the Mets out of the water. But let's go ahead and get into a 3-game recap of the series against the Cincinnati Reds and how we got to this exact moment, before we go ahead and get into a quick preview of the 4-game set we have against the Colorado Rockies at home. Starting with Game 1 on Monday, the Padres went ahead and took that game 4-3, as Tatis would walk it off in the 9th with a sac fly to left center field to go ahead and score the winning run. It took the whole game, as the Padres were down 3-0 after Hayes hit a home run off Darvish in the 6th, but Sheets would double home Tatis and he would eventually score. Merrill would then triple home Sheets and Laureano all in the 6th. Suarez would come in for 4 outs, but Wandy would go and get the save. Darvish, like I said, pretty good start for him. 5 innings pitched, 5 2/3 actually, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and 7 Ks. We always can expect the Ks from Darvish. The runs typically are, what we expect from him, 2 to 3. If he's giving up 1, that's how you know he's on. 1 or none, that's how you know he's on. But moving on to Game 2, where we started to stumble once again, and the woes are starting to rear their ugly head. Michael King would make his return off the IL, so it looked extremely optimistic and hopeful that we would get the series win in this Game 2 and then look forward for the sweep, but unfortunately not. He returns off the IL, which was, first of all, awesome to see, because we need him back big time. But the Reds would take Game 2 in another close battle till the end, as Sal Stewart, rookie phenom for the Reds, started off the game with a solo shot in the 1st. Then Benson, another solo shot off King in the 2nd. Then Merrill would record his 6th triple of the season, back-to-back games with triples, and scoring Laureano to make it 2-1. Crone would follow with a sac fly in the same inning and tie the game, but the drama came late, as in the top of the 9th, Schilt brings in Suarez for not a save, but to close the door for the offense to walk it off in the bottom of the 9th, and Tyler Stevenson, who was robbed of a home run earlier in the game by Tatis, gets a hold of one and hits a 2-run shot to the opposite side of Tatis in left field and puts it in the second deck of the Metal Western Supply building to put the Reds up 4-2 in the top of the 9th. But back to that Tatis home run, the robbery was absolutely insane. That's his 4th of the season and 5 in the past year, and he's about to win his 2nd platinum glove. So just absolutely insane. Not only that, but switching positions from shortstop to right field, I can't say that enough. It just is absolutely insane to watch what he's doing in right field. But all was forgotten, at least the robbery was, because they hit a 2-run home run and we lost the game, and the Padres offense wouldn't come up clutch in the bottom of the ninth. So that was terrible on top of all the great things that were happening last night, or that night, sorry, not last night, but that night between King and the robbery. It was just hard. It was just hard. We had so much good momentum. You expect to win that game, but couldn't pull it out, and the Reds go ahead and get their W 4-2. But now moving on to Game 3 rubber match, which was last night. Game 3 was one the Padres needed and looked promising after Pivetta started, but ultimately there was no run support. In the series, the Padres were horrific, going 2 for 22 with runners in scoring position. Like I said, let me say that again to you guys. In the series, the Padres were 2 for 22 with runners in scoring position. So, just unacceptable. Just unacceptable. From the lineup that we have, it just doesn't make sense. We only gave up 9 runs and had 7 walks. Five of those walks came last night. So, that's not good. But my point to you is our lineup shouldn't be in shambles the way that they are. 2 for 22 with runners in scoring position the entire series. 2 hits with runners in scoring position. Mind you, that doesn't even mean that they score. That just means hits with runners in scoring position. So it's just crazy, man, to think about that, the magnitude, the caliber of players that we have on our team. And I'm not expecting insane things night in and night out. That's not what I'm saying, but a simple base hit, a simple flare, a simple knock, getting back to the basics of baseball, to the fundamentals. Understanding with runners in scoring position, I just want to move the runner over. If anything, I just want to hit this ball hard and move the runner over. I've seen too many strikeouts with runners in scoring position. Not to mention that last night, we get a leadoff double with Gavin Sheets, and we don't bunt. We're the leading team with sacrifices, and we don't bunt in that situation. We're down. We're down 2-1. There's a runner on second. I understand that Ramon Laureano has been hot, and his bat has been MVP worthy. He could walk it off, but I don't care. It's called team baseball. So that was infuriating, because then eventually what happens is who hits the sac fly after that to move the runner over. So that would have scored the run, Laureano, or not Laureano, but Iglesias, who pitch ran for Sheets at second. So now you got 2 outs with the runner at third, and you got Bryce Johnson up with a pinch hit. I love Bryce Johnson. I think he's a warrior of a player. I respect his entire career, working his way up, not necessarily being, one of the highly touted guys, but still finding a way to get on each and every team each and every year. And he's not one of the older guys. He's still relatively young, but the moment was too big for him. The pinch hit him in that moment. I get it. You want to get guys their opportunities. But, man, these games mean a lot right now, especially when it comes to the division. So it just hurt knowing that. I'm not saying that there was anybody on the bench better, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to bank on Bryce Johnson getting a hit there in that position 9 times out of 10. And that's just not a knock on him. It's just until you do it, you don't do it. So, again, if I was in this position, I would be grateful for my opportunity, and I would be just, trying to do the best I can. And I know that's all he was doing. But, like I said, it's not a knock on him, but the moment was just so big in that moment, right? Runner on third, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, closers on for the Cincinnati Reds, and you get pinch hit off the bench. He's cold all game, right? My thing is in that moment, I've been pinch hit in that moment so many times throughout my playing career, and that shit's not fun. To pinch hit in a situation where they need something to happen, and you're off the bench cold, you haven't even swung a bat, like, that's hard to do. And to go face a guy that's a high leverage guy that only comes in for 3 outs, throwing gas, I mean, that's even harder. So, man, it just sucks. But Padres had 16 left on base and 22 strikeouts in the 3-game series, on top of the 2 for 22 with runners in scoring position. So that's just atrocious. Just can't do that. 16 left on base and 22 strikeouts. 22. Just unacceptable. Lineup needs to be better. Manny needs to be better specifically, and the bullpen having woes. But I'm not losing my faith. It's not wavering. I'm not gonna start to lose my faith now right before the playoffs happen. We're still in a great position. We're still in the second wild card position, but I want the division. So that's where I stand, man. But let's go ahead and get into the standings for the wild card specifically, because I just want to go over that real quick with you guys because it's necessary, right? Especially going over the Cincinnati Reds and the Mets. We need to go over these wild card standings. So AL wild card, let's get into that real quick because we didn't talk about that. But the AL wild card is as stands. The New York Yankees are at the top of it, leading by 2.5 games. The Boston Red Sox are right behind them, also 2.5 games. Excuse me. And the Seattle Mariners are right behind them in the last wild card spot, right behind the Seattle Mariners are the Texas Rangers at 1.5 games, the Guardians at 3.5, and the Royals at 4. The Tampa Bay Rays are really dwindling right now, so they're hanging on by a thread, but we will see what happens with them. Now moving to the NL, which we care about a lot more. The Chicago Cubs are 83-63, 7 games ahead in the first wild card spot. Then we go to the Padres, 79-67, 3 games ahead in their wild card spot in the second slot. And then the Mets are clinging on to the last wild card spot ahead of the Cincinnati Reds by 2 games and the San Francisco Giants, who are both tied for the first spot outside of the wild card. So the Reds and Giants breathing on the Mets next and really putting the pressure on. Not to mention that the Mets already feel enough pressure because they've lost the series against the Phillies and really haven't been great as of late. So the Mets are really hanging on by a thread. The Diamondbacks are 3.5 games back, so they're also right there. And the Cardinals, 4.5 games back. Those 4 teams really in contention for that last wild card spot. So the Mets, and with the firepower that they have with Mark Vientos, Soto, Lindor, Pete Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil, Acuna, it doesn't make sense. Alvarez, Siri, it doesn't make sense that they're playing the baseball that they are right now. It just not good. But the Reds went ahead and gained a couple games on the Mets, who are struggling 3-7 in their last 10 games, as you saw on that graphic. And the Padres play them in New York after this 4-game set versus Colorado at home. So, but now looking again towards the Rockies, we need to take at least 2 of these games. The way that we are playing, a sweep is unlikely, but I'm not going to rule it out. But it's just unlikely. And we just need to continue to believe and play ball. We have Randy Vasquez on the mound tonight, hoping for a great start and hoping this lineup produces versus McCade Brown, who has a 12.37 ERA. But we need to get these wins. Like I said, 2 wins out of the 4 is perfect. I'm not expecting a series sweep after everything that just happened in this series and after how we've been playing in recent games. I'm just not expecting that right now out of this team. Is it something that is way out there and that can't happen? No, I still believe that we could possibly sweep this team because the Rockies are very inferior to us, and if we really play the baseball that we should, then they never should win. But yeah, no, not that they never should win. It's baseball. Every crazier things have happened, right? But 2 wins is a must. 2 wins out of the 4 is a must. Starting tonight, we got Randy Vasquez on the mound. 4-game set till Sunday. But I'm excited, guys. We need to get this going. It's getting right down to the wire. And I have a weird feeling that this division is going to come down to the last game. It's going to come down to the last game. But in the end, I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Padres Banter. We'll be back on Monday after the series is over, but let's go Pods. We out.